Good afternoon, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Rich again, back for your second video blog of the day for Thursday, September 25th, 2014, around 3:50 in the afternoon in Berwick, Massachusetts. Battling some sun and clouds today, around 60 degrees outside. Might rain tonight. Showers around this area, maybe some steadier rain south of the Pike. Some news to report: the Milwaukee Brewers have been officially eliminated from the playoff contention. That means the San Francisco Giants clinched the last playoff spot in the National League. And also, Red Sox designated hitter David Ortiz, Big Papi, is going to miss the rest of the year because of a sore wrist. And that's about it for the news. My next subject is about the classic television show Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels was one of the most famous TV cop shows of all time. It ran from September 22nd, 1976 through June 24th, 1981 on ABC, and it was produced by Aaron Spelling and Leonard Goldberg, and it was created by Ivan Golf and Ben Roberts. And Charlie's Angels was about three beautiful ladies who would private detectives working for an unseen boss, and the show was so classic, so many great episodes. It was called Jiggle TV because the actresses were like jiggling, the angels were jiggling a lot, but it was real popular. The premise of Charlie's Angels, originally it was going to be called the Alley Cats, and the premise was the three beautiful ladies were going to be working for an unseen boss who was going to be a millionaire, but ABC didn't really like the title, The Alley Cats, so they changed it to Harry's Angels. But it got people would get confused because at the time there was a television series also on ABC called Harry O, which was a detective series, so they settled on Charlie's Angels. And the original Angels were Kate Jackson, who played Sabrina Duncan, who was the smart one. Farrah Fawcett Majors, who played Jill Monroe, who was the blonde one, and she was the athletic one. And Jacqueline Smith was played Kelly Garrett, who was the detective. She was a glamorous. And the assistant to the Angels was David Doyle, who his character was John Bosley, and the voice of Charlie Townsend was John Forsythe. He was unseen, but it was his voice. And Charlie's Angels had a pilot movie on March 21st, 1976, and it got a 40 share by ABC. And then they reran it a few weeks later. It still got a high share, like a 30 share. So they ordered it as a series, and when it debuted in September 22nd, 1976, it immediately became a hit. And it was one of the top 5 shows on television every single week. The Angels were in some scenes like going into jail, also at a fashion show, also like some of them like posing for like a men's magazine, like, and opening a massage parlor, and it was very good. Like, this chemistry between Sabrina and Jill and Kelly were pretty good. A lot of fun stuff, and like Bosley always brought the comic relief to the series and stuff like that. And the Angels really wanted to see what Charlie looked like, but he never like showed up on their cases or stuff like that. A couple of times they almost saw Charlie on the first season, but he just turned around and stuff like that. And the show was critically acclaimed. And after season 1 of Charlie's Angels, Farrah Fawcett Majors wanted to leave the show so she could go to become a big movie star. She got real popular with that show, and her poster was one of the most famous pinups of the day, selling over 3 million copies around 1976, 1977, and stuff. And she made $5,000 a week on Charlie's Angels. Her husband, Lee Majors, who starred in The $6 Million Man, made $50,000 a week, and she wanted to make that much, but like the Spelling Goldberg did not want her to make that more than like that much, so she left, and Spelling Goldberg sued her for breach of contract. And then they had to find another angel for the 1977-78 season, and they chose Cheryl Ladd. She played Joe Monroe's kid sister, Chris, and Chris is like the ultimate all-American girl, next to Heidi Lee Pratt. But anyway, people were like the critics were saying Charlie's Angels is going to go in the tank when like Cheryl Ladd joined the show, but the ratings were very high. A lot of people loved Cheryl Ladd as Chris Monroe. She made some mistakes, but they were kind of funny and stuff like that. And I think those 2 seasons with like Sabrina, Chris, and Kelly were pretty good. The episodes were pretty great. And some of the great ones were like when they went to Hawaii because Charlie was kidnapped, and they tried to find Charlie, but they were on a boat that he was kidnapped, and the angel got on the boat, but Charlie just swam off away. And also there were some others, like when the angels played football and stuff like that. And there was another one where like angels on the air and stuff like that. And some of these episodes were getting more interesting and great. And the ratings remained high with like Cheryl Ladd. They stayed in the top 10 for the 1977-78 season, and Charlie's Angels was continued to be off and running, but changes happened in the 3rd season. Before the 1978-1979 season of Charlie's Angels, actress Kate Jackson was offered a role for Kramer versus Kramer, but she was going to accept the role, but like it was going to be shot during when Charlie's Angels was filming, and the producers Aaron Spelling and Leonard Goldberg said, "No way, we can't let you do the movie and do Charlie's Angels at the same time because of a conflict and stuff." So Kate Jackson was kind of mad about that, and she didn't really like doing the 3rd season of Charlie's Angels. Plus, there was rumors about tension between her and Cheryl Ladd, and there was many scenes in the 3rd season that Chris and Sabrina were filmed differently. But season 3 also had the return of Farrah Fawcett Majors as Joe Monroe as Spelling Goldberg, and Farrah Fawcett settled their case out of court, and part of the deal was that Farrah made 3 appearances for season 3 and season 4 of Charlie's Angels, and it was pretty great to see like Joe Monroe back on Charlie's Angels for 3 episodes apiece, 1978, 79, 1979, and 80, and she didn't really miss a beat. And the season 3 episodes of Charlie's Angels were some of the best, like Angels in Vegas, where like they went to Las Vegas, and the guest star was like Dean Martin, and also they had like an appearance by Robert Urich as Dan Tanner in a brief cameo role. And also there was another one that was one of the real classic ones, was Angels on My Mind, where Chris sees a murder, but she gets hit by the car and like gets knocked out, and she has amnesia, and she walks around the beach remembering about her childhood, and there was flashbacks of her childhood, and Cheryl Ladd's real-life daughter, Jordan, who was 3 at the time, were in some of those flashbacks. Those were pretty good. And also was another episode, Counterfeit Angels, where like 3 ladies impersonate the angels committing crime, and the angels had to hide out because they were wanted for robbery and stuff. Pretty good episodes, but behind the scenes, like Kate Jackson said she was going to leave Charlie's Angels at the end of the 1978-79 season. The ratings remained high for that season. It was still in the top 10 of shows during the 1978-1979 season, and then season 4, that's when Charlie's Angels went kind of downhill. They had to pick another actress, and there was rumors that Spelling Goldberg was actually going to have just Chris and Kelly on the cases team, and Bosley was also going to be like all three of them were going to take the cases, and they had like an angel, fourth angel, like on the fourth season. If they were going to like have a third angel, one was in the background, but Spelling Goldberg decided to cast a new angel, and they picked Shelley Hack, who was a model, and as Tiffany Wells from Boston. She was like her father was an old childhood friend of Charlie, and the first episode that Tiffany Wells was introduced, she had a picture of Charlie and her father, but it was a very old picture, like from their childhood, and like Chris Monroe said, "Do you want a lizard stuck down your dress?" That was kind of funny. But season 4 of Charlie's Angels, that's when it started to go downhill. That like Kelly, Chris, and Tiffany really didn't have the chemistry together. Tiffany wasn't really featured in too many episodes that much. She only was maybe featured in 2 of them, Angels on Campus and Nips and Tucks, in a very significant role. She was in the background, and the ratings went down on Charlie's Angels during that those episodes. But the highlight of the season, when they had Love Boat Angels, where they crossed over for a while, with the Love Boat cast, and that was probably the highest rated show of season 4. It also had like Bo Hopkins as a guest star and Bert Convy. It was pretty good that episode, but the rest of the season kind of wasn't the best. Maybe there were some highlights when Angels on the Streets, where like Kelly and Tiffany go in as prostitutes, and by the end of the 4th season, the ratings were like still in the top 20, but it was going down like a tank. Shelley Hack was fired, but on Valentine's Day 1980. Not a knock against Shelley Hack, but she was doomed to fail because she was replacing Sabrina, like Kate Jackson, and that too much pressure because Sabrina was the smart one. Then Spelling Goldberg had to cast another angel, Tanya Roberts, actress. She was Julie Rogers. She was like the sexy angel and stuff like that. And she was like Julie Rogers was a model. And season 5, Charlie's Angels was delayed because it was a television strike, and the season 5 debuted in November 30th, 1980. And they had 3 back-to-back episodes of Charlie's Angels on ABC, but those tanked in the ratings, and even 5 episodes in Hawaii, the show was going downhill. And this is when Jacqueline Smith announced she was going to leave the show after 5 seasons, and like all of the episodes were like complete, the 16 and 1981 season, but ABC decided to cancel it. And the last episode, Let Our Angels Live, is when like Kelly Garrett gets shot, and originally that was going to be when she was going to die off. Her character Kelly was going to die off, and they were saying if there was a season 6 of Charlie's Angels, then Kelly Garrett's character would have been like dead. But there was no season 6 of Charlie's Angels because ABC canceled it, and that was a good move because the show ran its course. And syndication, it was in syndication for many years on WSBK in Boston and WQTV 68. Then I saw it on TNT, USA Network, TV Land, a couple of other networks and stuff. And Charlie's Angels was one of the best television series of all time. 2 movies were made in Charlie's Angels, 2000, 2003. One was a hit, 2001, and one was a flop, 2003. But couldn't understand too much about that movie, and there was 2011 remake, but I don't want to talk about that. And that's about it on Charlie's Angels, one of the best TV shows of all time. I'll be back later for my 3rd and final video blog of the night about the Ugandan giant Kamala. Oh! Bye now.